"Dad, when will you be home? Mom is giving me a strange pill. Please save me." Those were the exact words my daughter whispered into the phone before it cut out. My name is Daniel Reese, and until that moment I thought I had a happy, functioning home. I was away on a 3-day work trip. Nothing major, just a software rollout in Atlanta. My wife, Monica, had stayed home with our 8-year-old daughter, Lila. They were supposed to be having girls' time, baking cookies, movie nights, bedtime stories. But that call? It snapped something in me. I faked a flight delay, left early, and drove through the night. I didn't tell Monica I was coming. I just showed up. When I stepped inside, everything looked normal. Too normal. The lights were dim. Lila's room was quiet. I knocked softly, expecting her to jump up, giggle, yell, "Daddy." Nothing. She was curled under her blanket, pale, her eyes foggy. She blinked slowly and whispered, "You came." I kissed her forehead. Then I stepped into the kitchen and saw Monica standing at the sink, rinsing out a small plastic cup. She froze. Her voice didn't match her smile. "You're home early. What pill?" I asked straight. She blinked. "What are you talking about?" I looked down. A half-dissolved capsule was in the sink strainer. And that's when I knew. She was going to lie to my face. She didn't flinch. Not when I asked about the pill. Not when I stared directly at the residue caught in the sink strainer like it was evidence in a trial. "I gave her melatonin," Monica said smoothly. "You know how she gets restless without you. It's just the chewable kind, Daniel." I looked back toward the hallway. Lila hadn't seemed restless. She seemed sedated. "You gave her what kind of melatonin?" She walked past me toward the pantry. "Here, look." She handed me a bottle with cartoon stars and smiling moons on the label. "For kids," it read. But it wasn't opened. Still factory sealed. I didn't say anything. Just stepped past her, pulled my phone from my jacket, and walked back to Lila's room. I sat beside her and whispered, "Sweetheart, can you tell Daddy what Mommy gave you?" She blinked. "A white pill, in a red cup. She said not to chew it. It tasted bad." I nodded slowly. My hands clenched. That wasn't melatonin. I returned to the kitchen, and this time I didn't ask. I searched. Trash cabinets, bathroom drawers. Then, tucked behind a basket of receipts, I found a small orange prescription bottle with the label peeled halfway off. No name. No dosage info. Just the pharmacy logo. When I turned around, Monica was staring at me, her arms crossed. "You're being dramatic," she said coldly. "You're going to ruin everything over one little pill?" I didn't answer. But I knew right then. I was never leaving Lila alone with her again. That night I didn't sleep. I laid next to Lila on the floor of her room, my hand gently resting on her back to feel every breath. I told Monica I was taking the early flight back in the morning, but I had no intention of leaving. At 2 a.m. I heard her on the phone. She didn't close the door. "I told you he wasn't supposed to come back yet," she hissed. "He's asking questions." No, I didn't give her that dose. Just half. I stood in the hallway, barely breathing. My wife, the woman I trusted to raise our daughter, was on the phone, covering her tracks. She never said the name of the person she was talking to, but I caught a phrase that rattled me. "We said we'd start slow." Start what? I waited until she went to bed. Then I took the mystery bottle and drove to a 24-hour pharmacy across town. I handed it to the pharmacist behind the counter. "I found this in my house. I need to know what it is." She checked the pill imprint, scanned it into the database, then looked up at me with careful eyes. "This is quetiapine. Seroquel. Heavy antipsychotic. Only used for severe conditions. Bipolar, schizophrenia, acute mania." My stomach dropped. "And in kids?" She shook her head. "Absolutely not." I didn't drive home right away. I sat in the parking lot for almost an hour, thinking of my daughter's words. "Please save me." Now I knew exactly what from. I got back home just before sunrise. Monica was in the kitchen, acting like nothing had happened. Eggs on the stove, music low, pretending the night before hadn't happened. "I thought you were flying out," she said without turning. I held the pharmacy receipt up. "You gave our daughter antipsychotics." She stiffened. That pill could have slowed her heart. Could have shut her down. "She's 8, Monica." Her voice turned sharp. "I didn't give her a full dose. And she was getting difficult. You're not here. You don't see what I deal with. You drugged her." Her eyes flashed. "Don't use that word. You don't get to judge when you spend half your life traveling." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "This isn't about me being away," I said. It's about you hiding pills, lying to my face and telling God knows who on the phone that we'd start slow. Who the hell is we? She didn't answer. Just grabbed her coffee and walked past me. I packed a bag for Lila. No threats. No shouting. Just a quiet, surgical exit. I left a voicemail for my attorney. Told him I wanted full custody. Emergency hearing. I had documentation, the bottle, the photo of the pill, the pharmacist's statement. All of it. Monica didn't even try to stop me when I picked Lila up. She stood at the door like a stranger. And just before I closed it, she finally whispered, "You're going to regret this." But I already did. Just not for the reasons she thought. The next morning, I met with my attorney in person. I laid it all out. Lila's phone call, the pill, the pharmacist's confirmation, the sealed melatonin bottle Monica tried to pass off. Every word, every photo, every receipt was real. He didn't blink. "We'll file for an emergency hearing today," he said. "Based on what you've shown me, you have a strong case for temporary full custody. And if we're lucky, permanent." I nodded. But inside I felt hollow. Not victorious, just broken. This wasn't a win. This was damage control. Lila slept most of that day. When she woke up, I made her pancakes. She didn't ask where her mom was. She just curled into my side and whispered, "I'm glad you came back." I held her tighter than I probably should have. Later I got a call, from an unknown number. It was Monica's brother. "Daniel, listen," he started carefully. "Monica's not okay. She hasn't been for months. Ever since her mother passed, something in her snapped. She wouldn't talk to us. But we had no idea it got this far." I didn't say anything. "We'll support whatever you need for Lila," he added. "Just, don't let this go public. Not for her sake. For the family." That's when I realized how far they'd all been willing to look away. Now they were scrambling. But I wasn't. I was done staying quiet. And the hearing was already on the judge's calendar, for Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning arrived faster than I expected. Courtroom 3C. Wood paneling. Fluorescent lights. A judge who looked like she'd heard every kind of lie 1,000 times. I sat on one side. Monica on the other. She wore a gray suit, minimal makeup, and a blank expression. Like this was just a misunderstanding she'd fix with charm. But this wasn't charm. This was evidence. My lawyer presented everything. Lila's phone call transcript. The pill bottle with no label. A signed statement from the pharmacist. My own affidavit. When the judge asked Monica directly, "Did you administer this medication to your child without a doctor's prescription?" She hesitated. Then she said it. Yes. One word. But it cracked the room. Her lawyer tried to recover. Claimed it was a one-time calming aid, that she was overwhelmed, that no harm was done. But the judge wasn't buying it. "I've seen harm look quieter than this," she said. "Temporary full custody granted to the father. Supervised visits only." I didn't move. Didn't smile. Just nodded. Monica's face didn't change. But her eyes burned holes into the table. When it was over, I took Lila's hand and walked her to the car. She asked softly, "Is Mommy mad?" I looked in the mirror at the woman who used to be my partner, now a stranger. "She's just confused," I said. "But we're safe now." And for the first time in months, I actually believed it. 2 days after the hearing, Monica sent me an email. Not through the lawyers. Direct. "You won. Congratulations. Just know that when Lila asks what happened, you'll be the one who has to explain why her family fell apart." It didn't even sting. Because the version of Monica I once trusted, the woman who danced in the kitchen with our toddler and wore paint-splattered sweats on Sundays, was gone long before the pills ever showed up. This wasn't a fall apart. It was a rescue. That weekend I signed Lila up for therapy. A child specialist. Gentle, warm. Someone who could help her name what she was feeling. When we came home from her first session, she looked up at me and said, "She told me it's okay to be scared." I crouched down. "Did you tell her you were?" Lila nodded. "Only when you weren't here." That night I sat alone on the back porch. A glass of water. My phone in hand. I reread every text Monica had sent me over the last 3 months. The ones where she said she had everything under control and didn't need help. Every lie. I archived the thread. All of it. Gone. Then I opened a new one. To my attorney. "Let's begin the process for full custody. I'm not fighting her. I'm protecting my daughter from someone I no longer recognize." And as I hit send, I knew. This wasn't the end of the storm. But it was the first real moment of peace. Monica didn't show up to the next court date. Her lawyer stood alone, fumbling excuses. She's overwhelmed. Needs time. Regrets everything. But the judge didn't blink. She read the evaluation. Lila's therapist had submitted a report, clear, professional, heartbreaking. Patient displays signs of prolonged stress, verbal manipulation, and emotional confusion. Strong attachment to father. Safe response when separated from mother. Those words sealed everything. Full custody, granted. Visitation, suspended, pending psychiatric review. It didn't feel like a victory. It felt like climbing out of wreckage barefoot. Afterward, I took Lila to a park. She held my hand the whole time. She'd started smiling again, little things like swinging too high or spotting a squirrel. Real smiles. Not the ones she used to fake at the dinner table. We sat on a bench. She looked at me and asked, "Is mommy gonna be okay?" I didn't lie. I hope so. But until then, it's my job to keep you okay. She leaned her head on my arm. That night, I stood in the hallway watching her sleep. Peacefully. Arms around her stuffed fox, blanket kicked halfway off like she always did. And I remembered that first call. Her voice trembling. "Please save me." I did. Not with rage. Not with vengeance. With truth. With action. With patience. I closed her door gently, turned off the hall light, and walked back into my life. One that was finally, mercifully ours again.